Thanks for the support as a channel member, Ryan Lawson. A local derby, a League Cup quarter-final, and we're already halfway towards our points total for the season. It's not even Christmas. What a time to be alive if you're a Barnsley fan. Hello and welcome to Club 3, part 24 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have a local derby game away against Huddersfield and then a big League Cup quarter-final game at home against Manchester City. Let's face it, we're going to lose the Man City game. We've been losing quite a few games recently. I know we had that nice little run of form where we had the glorious October where everything was going wonderfully. Not so much since then. City, who we play in this episode, beat us 6-2 at home. We also lost 6-2 away to United in November as well. 2 6-2 defeats in 1 month. Not ideal. And we did manage an away draw against Chelsea, though, because we're nothing if not inconsistent. And then did beat Bournemouth before following it up with a game against Norwich, which I guess a draw away against Norwich is fine. But then we were pretty toothless losing at home to Tottenham. But we have had, to be fair to us, a run of some of the bigger games. I mean, October was as good as it was because we played Brighton, Watford, West Ham and Millwall. This run of games, we had Man City, Chelsea, Man United, Tottenham. So I can understand why form's dropped off just a smidgen, and we are still in 12th place in the league, 21 points on the board by the 16-game mark. And as far as I'm concerned, it's still just a race to 40 points. And the sooner we get there, the sooner we can all be happy. The one other thing, of course, is the interest around this cup run, because it's the first proper cup run I think we've had in Non-League to Legend this year. We've had a few with Bourne, but in Non-League to Legend, cup runs haven't really been a thing. The board were only looking for us to get to the third round of the League Cup. I know it's very unlikely that we're going to get any further than the quarter-final, but the quarter-final is still a good result. And if Man City are complacent after what they did to us a month ago, you never know. We could nick something and suddenly find ourselves a match away, or is it? I think it's 2 legs in the semi-final, I think. 2 legs away from Wembley. 2 legs is much harder than 1. Football analysis with Kev. Let's play a football match. We're away against Huddersfield, and this is the team we're putting out there. We've got Hilson in goal, a back four of Williams, Pieri, Tanganga and Tuther Williams, Goodger and Stockbridge in midfield, Denton, Barlow and Occo Flex behind Scuck up front. I know I'm saying Pieri wrong, I know I'm saying Scuck wrong, but I feel like they're both established at this point, so I'm afraid we're all just going to have to live with it. But one thing I have noticed, the shape of this team all of a sudden is a very new look team from a Barnsley team that was we pretty much got them promoted with the team that was already here with a couple of fancy additions, but none of the fancy additions are in the team anymore. The only player who's survived from before I was here is Jordan Williams at right back, who is constantly wanted by bigger clubs. Newcastle after him now. And there's not even that many survivors from our own championship run. Obviously, Hilson was with us. Tanganga joined us halfway through the promotion season. But everybody else in this team has arrived since we've been in the Premier League. And the majority of this attack have arrived in the last 6 months or so. Stockbridge, Gudger, Barlow, Denton, Scuck, all arriving since last Christmas's transfer window, and Occo Flex only just emerging as a decent player now. So slowly but surely, this is turning into not only a Kev team that plays Kev ways, but also the really common thing about that front 6 is they're all young and most of them are English. And it's quite an exciting time to be a Barnsley fan. Obviously, we are reaching that point where chances are I'm going to get a job offer at some point if things continue going well. I was linked with the Norwich job in the media, but no interview came from it. I don't feel the need to apply for a job anywhere. I know there's probably going to be some people thinking we're at that point where it wouldn't hurt for me to apply for some jobs. But I think with what I'm building here at Barnsley, it's quite exciting seeing where this group of players end up and what they develop into. For me personally, I don't mind another 2 or 3 years at Barnsley because I think things are going really well. That being said, I think you lot will get annoyed if I'm here. Some of you will. Some of you will love it if we stay here for a couple more seasons. But I think there are going to be people who are ready for me to move on. And I think the game is going to be getting ready to move me on. We've obviously had the interviews with Crystal Palace and Wolves in recent seasons, getting linked with Norwich. It's only going to be a matter of time before there is a team in this kind of area. I'm thinking, I'm not interested in going to Huddersfield. I don't think Huddersfield is necessarily a step up, although as you can see they are beating us after 4 minutes, and they're up in a Europa League qualification spot at the moment as well. So Huddersfield having a very good season, but I'm not interested in going somewhere where they're just having a good season. I'm looking at the likes of Newcastle, Wolves, Everton, Villa, even West Ham as options for a potential club we could move on to. Occo Flex with a big chance and really should have scored there. You don't get many chances that good in a football match, and I do feel like he should have scored that one. Stockbridge already picking up his 10th yellow card of the season. We have some ruffians in our team. We've obviously picked up a lot of red cards. We have a number of players, the Williamses, Stockbridge apparently as well, who just accumulate yellow cards as well. It is going to be something that I probably have to work on at some point, but there's a couple of different options I've got. I guess I could stop asking for us to show some passion, which will probably calm us down a little bit, but we all know I'm not going to do that. I could stop trying to gegenpress with a team that isn't as good as the teams we're playing, because we're doing all of this high pressing, chasing players down, and obviously getting there a little late sometimes and clattering players. But I think I'm willing to take the disciplinary problems for the benefits that the gegenpress gives us. We've seen before what happens in this league when we don't go out there hustling with the high press. So I think we're just going to have to accept that to play the way I want us to play for the time being, until our players get better, we're going to be having to pick up lots of yellow and red cards. Barlow's just equalised from the penalty spot. It was a lovely move. Occo Flex was in and fouled, and I'm surprised to see that's Barlow's first goal for us. He is our set-piece expert, as we've seen in the last couple of episodes. Yesterday's episode? There wasn't an episode yesterday. Saturday's episode, maybe. This is the first time, probably since I've been at Barnsley, the first time in well over a month that I'm recording a video the day it comes out. This is all very confusing and new for me. But yeah, we are back in real time again, and very close to the end of January, where I'm going to start interacting properly in the comments again. So almost back to business as usual. If you want to see the outcome of the January experiment with no social media, there will be a video on my vlog channel out in February. I very rarely plug that channel, but it's down in the description below if you'd like to see me not in front of a green screen and with a wobbly camera as I walk around doing things. That's a sales pitch for a vlog, if ever you've heard one. Huddersfield on the attack again here. And, yeah, I do feel like it was always coming. We're away against a team who are in really good form and having a great season. So, yes, it's a local derby. Yes, on paper, based on reality, we'd look at Huddersfield as, we've got to at least draw away against Huddersfield. But if we look at the fact that we're 5-6 years into the future, and Huddersfield clearly not the same Huddersfield that we experience in real life, and are having a very, very good season. So there's a good chance we're probably not going to win this, especially because we're in pretty terrible form ourselves as we continue to come up against teams that are either big clubs or teams in great form. I'm looking forward to getting a run of games against the likes of Sheffield United, Watford, Southampton again, because that's where we're going to accumulate the rest of our 40 points that we need to get to, presumably. I don't think we're ready to have a Europa League push of our own just yet. But again, linking back into what I was saying at the start of the match, with our players all being so young and with such potential, there is the possibility that maybe next year, with largely this same group of players, if they all continue to improve, that's what we're building here at Barnsley. I would suggest there must be players in this Barnsley team who at some point will play for England, and not just because I'm England manager. Even after I'm gone as England manager, there'll be players in this 11 now who will probably get in the England squad at some point and will probably play for some big clubs at some point. Scuck is in, and it's a lovely tidy finish from Scuck, and it's 2-2 on 65 minutes, a 9th goal of the season for Scuck. We talked about it before. We finally have our consistent Premier League level goal scorer, and it makes all the difference, because when you get chances like this, when you've got someone like Scuck, you actually feel like, oh, there's a possibility here that we might score. Whereas when it was Fraser Hornby in those kind of situations, I don't think any of us ever felt confident. Pierre's just picked up a knock, I think, so we probably need to be sorting that out. I mean, we're at substitution o'clock anyway, but we'll wait for this highlight to finish first. Williams trying to get a cross in, ends up getting another opportunity. It plays Denton in, who's got the other Williams supporting him, but ends up losing the ball, and there's a counter-attack on here for Huddersfield as Williams has pushed far forward and Stockbridge has got his red card. When was the last time we had an episode where we didn't get somebody sent off? My word. Right. Pierre's going to come off because he's injured. We've got Panzo to come on for him. That's an easy change. We're going to take Barlow off because he can't really play central midfield very well. And we're going to bring on Mowat to play alongside Gudger. And I think we're just going to do that and go to a 4-2-3. And perhaps now, let's have some passion now. Williams to Denton. Denton looking to get a cross in. Can't quite do it, but it falls to Williams, who hopefully will. I don't know that I'd call that a cross, but he's found Mowat, and now it's Gudger, also on a yellow card. Mowat all the way back to Panzo, who's just come on and fresh, and that's a lovely pass to Skuck, who must have been offside. The linesman kept his flag down, but Skuck, I think, in the spirit of fair play, deliberately didn't score, even though we all know he could have scored because he's not Fraser Hornby. Final substitution. I'm looking at Gudger thinking you're probably going to get sent off, but we don't have another central midfielder to come on. I don't want to play Tillman in central midfield. So I think what I'm actually going to do, Jordan Williams, tiring, not having a great game. We've got Jack Scott on the bench. That seems like a pretty easy substitution to make, and we just need to keep an eye on both Tanganga and Gudger for the final 2-3 minutes. I've asked for some creativity to finish the match off. 2-2 away from home with 10 men would be a very good result. Panzo's done very well there. But I wouldn't object if we can go and nick a win. A win we absolutely don't deserve, but Scott is trying to make it happen, and here's Skuck, and he's got Gudger charging up in the middle. Denton's in there as well. Cross comes in looking for Denton. It falls to Denton, who loops the header over the goalkeeper. I don't know how much he knew about what was going on there. He was kind of facing the wrong way. He may have drifted a little bit offside. It doesn't matter. The ball came to his head, and he's kind of just headed it up in the air, and the momentum of the ball coming towards him has looped it over the goalkeeper. I've not given him anywhere near enough credit there. It's a good header from Denton, and he wasn't offside because it came off the Huddersfield defender. And we are on the verge of a very unlikely Derby Day victory, which I am not going to object to that at all. That was an excellent performance. If we can take that spirit into this game against Manchester City in the League Cup quarter-final, we are in with a chance. And look at that. Said we're not in with a chance of a Europa League push this year. We're not. We're just looking for 40 points. But that was a big, big result. It's like I can see the future. Interview at Norwich, interview at Watford. I'm not going to make you sit through yet another interview, and I'm definitely not going to tell either of them to wait until the end of the season. What I am going to do is just have a quick look. So we're now a 3.5-star club who are considered rich. And in fact, forgot to say, the board have given me a little bit of an early Christmas present. I've got £21 million to spend in January. So there's fun to be had here, but Norwich are also a 3.5-star team, so not necessarily a step up. Watford are a 3.5-star team, not necessarily a step up. It's just going to come down to money, I think. And I did get a big pay rise from Barnsley when I signed my most recent contract back in the summer. So I'm on £33,500 a week here at Barnsley, and of course have the England job as well, where I'm earning like another 70-odd grand, I think. Do I not get to see the England contract? I'm sure it was something like £70,000. But we're not going to give up the England job, obviously. Norwich and Watford, both below us in the league. I don't know that either of them necessarily feel like the right move. But we'll go to the interviews and we'll see if anything comes from them. Watch this space. News from the interviews. Norwich, we're only going to offer a budget of £500,000 for January. So I said I'd need much more money. They're getting back to me. Watford, though, got £30 million to spend and over £2 million a week in wage budget. So a significant upgrade on what I've got here. I'm just trying to find the job centre, which I haven't been to for a while. as you can see. Am I favourite for either of them? No. No, I'm not. And Southampton not even offering me an interview. So that shows the level I'm. You know how Football Manager works now. You get to the jumps up to this level are easy peasy, but then trying to get the next big job from when you get to this point always takes forever. And I don't know why. So I'm working on the assumption I'm not going to get it and starting to spend some of my Christmas presents. So player number 1 coming in is Ivan Vivas, who failed the work permit thing, but on appeal did get through because we're spending so much money on him. We're actually deliberately overpaying for him. According to the scout reports, we could have picked him up for, I think it doesn't say on there, I think it was like £4.5 million theoretically. But in order to get him for a work permit, we had to spend £10.5 million. But bearing in mind he's a proper natural box-to-box midfielder and an Argentinian under-20 international and as good as Gudja in that position, although apparently Gudja's getting better all the time, but a proper partner for Stockbridge to allow Gudja to go a little bit further forward again. I think it was worth spending the extra money on to force the work permit through. This was kind of my insurance policy for if that didn't work, was to bring in Anjorin to play as the attacking midfielder and Gudja to stay as the box-to-box midfielder. I'm now thinking I probably don't need him, although the fact that he's young and English and can play in multiple positions does tempt me, but I think we'll probably withdraw from that one and keep some money to see what else we might be able to pick up in the January sales. All of which leads us to the Manchester City game in the League Cup. Couple of changes being made. Panzo coming in for Pieri because of the injury that he took in the last game. Mowat in for Stockbridge because Stockbridge is suspended because he was a rascal. And then we've also got Le Chabala coming in for Okoflex, who drops down to the bench. Let's get into the game. Remember, the last time we played Manchester City, they beat us 6-2. And I don't expect much different from that today. The only hope is that they put out a youth team. They've got Mbappe and oh dear, they've put out their full strength team then, so this is going to go really quite badly. Let's assertively say we want to avenge what happened last time. I mean, it is a decent motivator. Firstly, obviously we've got the fact that they did absolutely smash us last time we played them, but secondly, a League Cup semi-final means a lot more to us than it does to Manchester City. So you'd like to think some of our players will be a little bit more up for it than some of theirs. I mean, Mbappe coming to Barnsley in the pouring rain on a weeknight in, December, he's not going to be as up for this as Alex Mowat, who this is going to be his only opportunity to win a proper piece of silverware if we can win this competition this season. So he's obviously going to want it a little bit more. The only problem is our players and wanting stuff usually leads to 3 or 4 of them getting sent off because they get too overexcited. So we need to balance their excitement and enthusiasm levels with trying to stay level-headed and actually keep enough players on the pitch to not be disqualified. Is that what it is? When you have too many players sent off, is it called being disqualified? It probably isn't. It's probably forfeit. But I like the idea of being disqualified from a football match. Le Chabala is in here, and I thought he was going to score and make me look like a genius for bringing him into the team. There wasn't really any thought process behind bringing him in ahead of Okoflex, other than the fact I'm not entirely certain who my best right winger is. We've actually got 3 who are very good: Okoflex, Le Chabala, and Brown. Brown probably is a comfortable third place there, although when he plays he occasionally looks awesome but usually doesn't. But Le Chabala, natural winger, whereas Okoflex, I'm still trying to decide what his position is. And City have scored, and I remember what happened last time. Once they start doing this, it's relentless. So strap yourselves in, boys and girls. If there's 10 minutes left on this video at this point, I either get offered one of those jobs immediately after the game, or we conceded 8 goals and the highlights just went on for days. That's probably the last replay I'm going to show you as the goals start raining in. Although I'm being negative, we obviously saw in the last match that we do have a little bit of spirit in us. So you never know. We might be able to get back into this. Scuck is in, trying to squeeze it past Edison at the near post. I would argue probably take a touch, try and beat him at the far post. That's how I was trained, and I mean, it did me the world of good in becoming a Premier League footballer, like all this that are. So perhaps they know best. Perhaps the guy who was training me didn't know as much as the guy who was training them, because they made it to the Premier League and I played 20 minutes for Blackstones 20 years ago. Right, assertive, avenge. There we go. We're on it. Scuck is anxious. Hornby had picked up a knock. Because I don't pick my own bench, I don't actually know if he's recovered enough to be on it. It might be a case of Occo Flex coming on up front if Scuck. My goodness me. He's quite good, isn't he? That's a finish right there. You can't really argue. I mean, I said you're not going to see any more replays, but I think we probably have to have another look at this one. I know it's a ball over the top and we usually concede from these, but I mean, Hilson looks a bit stupid there, but he's hit the ball so hard, I don't think we can blame Hilson. They've just got a lot of very, very good footballers, and we are not even in the same league as them. I mean, we are literally in the same league as them, but we're not in the same league as them. They are on another level from what we're capable of, and I think probably from what our players are ever going to be capable of. I know I was talking in just the last match about how some of these will probably play for England, and some of them might, but I don't think any of them are ever going to be at that kind of level. And that's the thing. When I'm sat here going, oh, I could do a few more years at Barnsley, I'll be quite happy to do that. That's when I look and think, yeah, but no, I could be at Barnsley for 100 years and never put together a team like this Manchester City team. We've got to go to the world of super money to be able to do this. And although Watford aren't super money, they do feel like a step up and more of a stepping stone towards that than maybe Barnsley are. I mean, it would be a new and different thing in non-league to legend if we did a third Premier League club. Have we ever done 3 different teams in the Premier League? I mean, that's not to say... I mean, who's to say we end up at a bigger Premier League club after Watford if we go that? I've not even been offered the Watford job yet. But let's say we go to Watford. I mean, it might be that we then end up going abroad. The rules of the save are never that I have to stay in England. It just tends to work out that way. Although, obviously, we saw last year, don't always have to. Heading off to Hamburg, etc., etc. Right, we're going to make some changes here because this is painful. I mean, I don't think they're necessarily positive changes. Occo Flex coming on to play on the left today as an inside forward. Hornby up front never feels like much of a threat. Although he's in here, and if he scores here, I'll stop picking on him. Hornby, I mean, it was a creative effort. Let's ask him to get even more creative. I don't think passion is the way to go. We tried passion. It's not working. Barlow with a corner tries to find Hornby, who you would expect him to be quite dominant in the air in situations like that, but twasn't. And, yeah. I mean, it's not 6-2, which I guess is a positive. We've not been as humiliated this time yet. We'll bring Brown on for the last 15 minutes or so just to see if, as another... Is he? I mean, he's actually a Barnsley homegrown player, isn't he? Oh, no, originally Geisley, but effectively homegrown. I imagine he played a game or two for the Barnsley youth team at some point. Here is Brown playing it to Williams. Williams trying to get the cross in, can't do it, but Mowat ends up collecting and he's running the wrong way. And I don't blame him because I'd be just as scared as he is if I was up against this lot. Hilson playing it forward, finds Mowat again. Mowat trying to find Occo Flex, flicks it down to Barlow, who can't get the ball under control. And Hornby intercepts. This is lovely from Hornby. And he's got players supporting him. And he doesn't use any of them. And it's just such a wasteful effort. You've got Occo Flex in so much space out on that left-hand side, charging him. Just needs the ball playing into his path and he's got an open goal. And unfortunately, Hornby just didn't see him. I can only assume he didn't see him because he can't. If he could see Occo Flex there is no way he thinks having that pathetic attempt at a shot is the best thing to do. Tanganga heads clear to Barlow, back to Panzo, and I think that's probably that. Brown, he's getting a nice little touch of the ball. Goodger has been very quiet today. Hornby is in again. He's had more opportunities than Scuck, but I do have to wonder if Scuck had been on the pitch for the last 20 minutes or so, would he have scored 1 or 2 of the opportunities that Hornby's had, or is Hornby getting the chances because he's playing better than Scuck did? It's difficult to know. If only I was a proper manager. I mean, I feel mugged today. 4 clear-cut chances, 5 half chances. They've not had as many as either. We played... Oh, they didn't like that. We played much better in that game than we did the last time we played Manchester City. But alas, we are knocked out of the League Cup, which, I mean, it's not a big issue, but it would have been nice to win it. That would have been fun. But we are now heading into January. We've already got one of our January signings sorted. We will be back for the next episode. As if we haven't moved clubs, we'll be back at the end of the January transfer window to show you what else I've done with my remaining £16 million. Plus, loads of our players are wanted by other clubs. So this might be the window where some of them start to move on, maybe. So there could be some significant business coming up. So we'll be back for the Wolves game if I'm still here. If I end up moving clubs, obviously, we'll be back a little sooner. But if you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.